Flare is a fad that comes and goes in popularity, and currently it's still popular even though it's been around for some years now. But I'll discuss some ways to get it and some reasons to avoid it. Flare is good for setting or enhancing a mood, whether that be romance or happiness. But as with any type of effect, it should be used sparingly as a spice, not as the main course. So use it only when you need to. When the sun is in the lens, in the viewfinder, in the image, you'll get the maximum flare. Now in this image I used a long telephoto lens. It was a prime lens, or a single focal length lens, a 300mm f2.8. So we just get a nice glow. We don't get too much reflection off the individual glass elements. And in the next image I'll show you why that is. Zoom lenses tend to have more glass elements in them because it's asked to do more by zooming to different focal lengths. It's a complex process. And flare happens when sunlight bounces off the surfaces of those elements. And because it's got more elements, there's going to be more flare. Now the image on the right, I blocked the flare by just blocking the sunlight hitting the front of my lens. So this way it gives the client a choice as to which they prefer. Now here's an image where the flare was just downright ugly. Not only was the flare unattractive and unpurposeful for this type of image, you can see that there was also dust on my sensor. So I'm glad that I blocked it for this exposure. I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but it's not a natural image. It's a man-made kind of background, contemporary graphic kind of image, not a nature image. So maybe that's why the flare just doesn't seem to fit. Now, I don't know what possessed me to do this, but when you're trying to get flare into the lens, it is not easy because you're looking into a bright light, and it's somewhat unpredictable as to what you're going to get in the end. But this is way too much. The problem is, the mom saw this image and said, "Oh great, I want that for my wall portrait." Well, I just couldn't let that happen. This is just too much. So I did everything I could to minimize that and still retain the feeling of the flare, and she was very happy with this result.